my friends, again, let me say welcome to another episode on the SosoBone Media Network of John Sports Corner. And I'm telling you, there's some things happening out there right now that is not sport, but somebody think is sport. But nevertheless, I will say this, that when you come to John Sports Corner, all you get is sports. Over you too, John.
Thank you so much, Trevor. And certainly a very good afternoon to our friends and family out there listening and tuning in to John's Sports Corner here on the SosoBone Media Network. Let me remind you to go to Winner Circle Radio in the SosoBone shop and shop till you drop. There are T-shirts.
Oh, yes.
There is, of course, mugs.
Okay. Yes.
There is sorrel, backpacks, and folks, you get a packet of the great Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee.
Oh,
You
yes.
brew it, and you have your mug in which to sip the coffee from. Let's talk sports as usual, starting with some birthdays. As yesterday, Taekwondo Tracy, World Championship performer out of Jamaica, celebrated a birthday. So too, the sprint queen out of St. Lucia, Julian Alfred, she celebrated a birthday. Today, Stephanie Taylor, former Jamaica and West Indies captain, she still plays for the West Indies. She celebrates her birthday today. Collis King, former Barbados and West Indies cricketer, celebrates her birthday today and tomorrow. Norbert Phillip, Dominica and West Indies cricketer, former West Indies cricketer, celebrates her birthday. On Saturday, a good buddy of mine, former reggae boy Jermaine Hugh, celebrates a birthday. We saw him playing up here a lot in the Caribbean Cup tournament for the Jamaica team.
Oh, yes, definitely.
I call her Princess Grace, Grace Jackson, Olympian medalist of yesteryear. She celebrates a birthday on Saturday.
Yes.
Also, Danny McFarlane, another former representative athlete out of Jamaica, celebrates a birthday. Then on Monday, former Jamaica and West Indies cricketer Nehemiah Perry celebrates a birthday. So let me start this afternoon with congratulations to Coco Gauff, winner of the 2025 French Open, as she defeated the number 1 ranked Ariana Sabalenka 7-6, 6-2, 6-4. Coco's second Grand Slam. So, Trevor, we can sing that tune, Shimmy Shimmy Coco Pop.
Coco Pop, shimmy, shimmy, Coco Pop. John, when she got the last point, John, she just flattened herself on the court, John.
On the court, yes.
Oh, my goodness. It was beautiful.
And she is actually the first American to win the French Open since who? One Miss Serena Williams in 2015. Yes. But I think, Trevor, it was poor sportswomanship shown by Sabalenka in her post-race comments. I think, no matter how distraught you might be when you lose, you don't always win. And you should congratulate your opponent on winning this time. Maybe next time it will be your turn.
That's right.
Okay, track and field news, Diamond League, the Oslo, Norway Diamond League meet tomorrow. Not many Caribbean athletes performing in that meet tomorrow. In the women's triple jump, of course, Jamaica's Shanika Ricketts and Akila Smith will be jumping off. Also, Paris Olympic gold medalist Thea Fond of Dominica. Women's 400 meters, Seda Williams out of Barbados. She runs the 400. Also, again, I mentioned previously, she has a birthday coming up. Julian Alfred, she will be in the 100 meters in the Diamond League meet in Oslo tomorrow. On the men's side, Jordan Scott of Jamaica in the triple jump. while in the 200 meters, Reina Mena of Cuba racing. Second place finishes for Lamar Distin and Omar McLeod at the 44th staging of the Fanny Blancas Coin Games in the Netherlands. Distin 1.90 meters, second in the high jump, while McLeod stopped the clock in 13.42 seconds over the 110 hurdles. Olympic gold medalist, or should I say, yes, gold medalist, Frederick Stoner. He will be throwing the discus, and well, he finished third in the meet, 67.19 meters, and Frederick Dakers was fourth with a toss of 64.86 meters.
Right.
Some good performances in the seventh staging of the Racers Grand Prix last weekend at Jamaica's National Stadium. Kishane Thompson closed the show by winning the championship 100 meters for men in a season-best 9.88 seconds, with
good.
Oblique Seville in a season-best 9.97 seconds. Tina Clayton won the women's equivalent in a season-best 10.98 seconds, with Alana Reed third in a season-best 11.16 seconds. Concern, however, for Tia Clayton, the twin of Tina, who backed off about, I'd say, 60, 70 meters from the tape. She might have been experiencing a leg problem.
But John,
so she slowed considerably and finished fifth.
But they mentioned before the race started that she was not, she was not feeling well, John. And they did not know if she was going to run.
Okay, I actually I'm not aware of that, Trevor.
Yes.
Put it that way. But so far there is no news on her condition.
Right.
I haven't heard anything so far if she's okay. Because national championships are like about 2 weeks away. And talking about national championships, if I might say it now, next Wednesday our program will be reviewing or previewing the national championships, which is both senior and junior.
Okay.
Moving along, Rashid Broadbell, the 110 hurdles winner in a meet record 13.06 seconds. The women's 100 hurdles went to Alia Armstrong of the US in a meet record 12.54 seconds, with Devine Charlton of the Bahamas second in a season best 12.65 seconds. Perhaps the most impressive run of the meet was by one Mr. Brian Level, winning the 200 meters in 19.79 seconds. Christopher Taylor was second in 20.39 seconds. Sharika Jackson won the women's 200 in a season best 22.53 seconds, and she seemed to be rounding into where she wants to be at this stage of the season, Trevor, with the Jamaica National Championships coming up in another, as I say, couple of weeks.
Yes.
Moving along, Christopher Bailey of the US won the 400 in 44.74 seconds, while Lena Kirby Jackson, also of the US, won the women's 400 in a season best 50.23 seconds. Roshawn Clark won the 400 hurdles in 48.65, with Asini Wilson second in 48.77 seconds, while Tia Adana Bell of Barbados won the women's equivalent in 55.74 seconds. Wayne Pinnock won the long jump with a leap of 7.97 seconds, while Guyana's Emmanuel Archibald was second in 7.83 3 meters. You know, Trevor, I am hoping Jamaica qualifies for the men's 4x1 relay at the Tokyo World Championship. Because if all our male sprinters report fit, I believe a squad of Kishane Thompson, oblique Seville, Brian Devil, Akeem Blake, Rohan Watson, and maybe a Kedron Goldson could do some damage in that relay. The big question, who anchors?
Who anchors?
Yes.
Well, you know,
My lineup,
Kishane has to anchor.
my lineup would be Akeem Blake starting the relay, handing off to Kishane Thompson, handing off to oblique Seville on the third leg, with Brian Leville bringing it home down the stretch.
Okay. But why wouldn't you want Kishane Thompson to bring it home like Usain Bolt normally do, John?
I think on past experience, Brian Leville is a better athlete on the anchor leg.
Better closer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And now with his 200-meter speed, getting that running start, Trevor.
Yes.
Anybody who is in front of him, he probably can run them down.
Okay, true.
As he did, was a couple of years ago in a Carifta Games, when he ran down one of those athletes to win the 4x for Jamaica.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
But, you know,
but we expect them to qualify.
I hope we qualify, Trevor. Meanwhile, after finishing second actually in the 400 meters for women at the Racers Grand Prix, Stacey Ann Williams says breaking 50-second barrier is her primary goal now.
Wow.
Tell you what, let's go to a break and we will come back with Cricket Lovely Cricket. We'll be right back. And we are back, and welcome once more to John Sports Corner here on the SosoBone Media Network. And as I promised, let's start with Cricket Lovely Cricket. Movement in West Indies cricket. As 29-year-old Trinidad and Tobago and West Indies cricketer Nicholas Pooran has announced his retirement from international cricket. Pooran played only white ball cricket for West Indies. He never played Test cricket. He represented West Indies in 61 one-day internationals, scoring 1,983 runs with 3 centuries and a top score of 118 against Sri Lanka. In the T20 version of the game, he played in 106 games, scoring 2,275 runs, no centuries. But as we look back on his career, one could never envision a pretty successful cricket career following a car accident in 2016 that placed doubt on a promising cricketing career and that almost took his life. Pooran got well and blossomed as a cricketer, and in May 2022 was elevated to be named captain of West Indies in the limited overs version of the game. That didn't last long, however, as he stepped down as captain in November of the same year. Professor, 2 questions for you. 1, when a player retires from international cricket for the West Indies, should he be selected to play regional games for his island, or should that spot go to another player who would like to impress selectors for possible West Indies duty. Secondly, at 29 and maybe at the peak of your career, why retire from international cricket? Is it not worth your time playing for West Indies anymore? Or is just playing franchise cricket less stressful mentally and physically?
Well, I would say, John, that the type of boost to one's ego that one gets when one is striving and finally makes the West Indies team. I guess, after 6 or 7 years, that gets stale. That is, you have done it. You're in the team over a number of years. At which point, if you have a more relaxed schedule that you can work with, even if it costs you just a fraction of the type of money that you're making, then, it might be more fitting for a family situation. Kids are growing up, kids are going to school, kids, and spending time with the kids is worth more than the money, John. Because we see that, there are occupations, where people leave the army to go back home to spend time with the family. People quit their jobs because it was taking up too much of their time because now they have a family and they want to spend time with their kids as they're growing up. So that might be a factor that is now coming into, to haunt the selectors when they find that somebody who is at the top of their game says, I don't want to be president anymore, or I don't want to be captain anymore because, I don't want to spend the time that it is required, put in the time that a captaincy requires. Those are some of the exits, John, that people have from their occupation.
Although, if you talk to some of the gurus of cricket, they'll say there has to be more to this story than meets the eye. Anyway, Trevor, Cricket West Indies named a 16-member squad for the Test series against Australia coming up. And of course, Roston Chase was recently named Test captain with Jamel Warwick his vice captain. And the rest of the squad, Kevlin Anderson called up for the first time. Craig Brathwaite, John Campbell, Casey Carty, Justin Graves, Shea Hope, Tevin Imlach, Alzari Joseph, Shamar Joseph, Brandon King, Johan Lane, Mikhail Louis, Anderson Phillip, and Jaden Seals. No Joshua De Silva, I suppose, with Shea Hope in the squad. No need in naming a third wicket keeper. No Kemar Roach, although he did come under consideration. But a comment I found interesting, Trevor, made by Coach Darren Sammy, when he said Brandon King fits a role they have identified that needs special focus to take the team closer to the top of the rankings. Is that one of the opening spots that Darren Sammy is talking about? And if so, where does John Campbell, Craig Brathwaite, and Mikhail Louis fit in?
John, I would think that it has to be a field, a bowling position. Granted that there's parity when it comes to batting and fielding, I would also say, because you don't have a hot spot in fielding. Like you say, you need somebody specific to to be in the slips or in the gully, okay, or unless he's looking for a speedy outfielder, John, so that they can cut off some of those fours that those fat guys could not track down. Okay, because yes, a speedy outfielder, John, can save a lot of runs. Okay.
Yeah, a good feeler out in the deep.
Yes.
Does and I mean, when you go back to like Gus Logan, Clive Lloyd, and even more recent, I think Fabian Allen, an excellent fielder.
Mhm.
We just saw some excellent catches and fielding taken by Rahman Powell in the just concluded West Indies England white
Yes.
ball series.
Yes.
So yes, but um, my question is, when Sammy talked about identifying a position that needs focus, is that the opener? And if that is the opening position, then why do you name three other openers in the team if you're having Brandon King? So you're having four openers now,
Yes. Well, yes. And and if you have four openers batting one after the other, it means that when one take a duck, you don't move, you don't, when one get,
No,
you
but that's not going to happen.
well, yeah, what I'm saying is, if when you lose one opener at the top of the line and another one is lined up, if he goes early, you don't really lose anything because they have to set the table for the middle order batsman. Now, if you're going with data, John, my part of the data analysis is that if you look at how many boundaries the team gives up, that they are not sixes, but fours.
Mm-hmm.
And these are boundaries that you give up with the ball on the ground. And you come to the conclusion that you're 10 in the bottom of the standing when it comes to giving up fours on the ground. Then they might say that that you need somebody who is gonna cut down the amount of fours that gets to the boundary because you need somebody faster to cut off those balls. So if you look at how the ball plays from the bat, and at the end of your analysis, you said the data says that we're giving up too much runs on on the ground. Then you have to say, well, how do you stop that? Because if you can cut it off, we have seen teams lose John on the last ball.
Yeah, but no, this is not fielding we're talking about here, Trevor. This is batting. And as I said, what Sammy said about focusing on a specific need for the team,
Mm-hmm.
we have been kind of short. Well, we have been kind of short on openers. And I'm wondering now, with Brandon King being brought in, is he being brought in to open because he opens a white ball game? And if he is being brought in as one of the openers, you only need two.
Yes.
But they have named three other openers
Seem like a lot
in
of
the squad.
seem like a lot of openers.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe I would have gone for an all-rounder type for one of those openers, or maybe another spinner if we have that. Maybe we don't have that, but
Well, maybe it's a spinner that he really needs, John, to break the cycle.
well, yeah, and you see how the team is set up now. The captain and the vice captain are the spinners in the team. So chances are you're not going to drop them.
Right.
So maybe that's why a third spinner wasn't named, to complicate or to question, for instance, well, why did the vice captain play over X? you know.
And if he's not effective too,
Yeah.
But
But to be fair to Jamel Warkan, he has just come off a great series, in Pakistan, and he deserves his game.
Okay.
But of course, Good Akesh Moti, which is the other frontline spinner, wasn't named, but they named him for the white ball game.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, could it be that they're looking at the lineup of the teams that they're playing, John, and therefore they are modifying the lineup based on the team that they're about to play?
But it's Australia you're going to play, no, Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
And
what is Australia's weakness?
Hmm?
What is Australia's weakness?
Australia's weakness?
Yes. In analyzing the teams, spin, fast bowlers.
Well, I don't know that Australia necessarily have a weakness, but they are currently playing the World Test Championship against South Africa, and I'm going to get to that score. They just completed day one of that game.
Okay.
And yes, they were bowled out cheaply. But to say that Australia has a weakness, I don't think we can consider them a weakness. Having a weakness. They have good batting, they have good bowling, good fielding,
Okay.
So, no, I don't know. I'm not sure where the weakness is in that Australia team now.
I mean, West Indies' weakness is that their spin bowlers are ineffective. Therefore, you can have a lineup that wait for the fast bowlers because the spin bowlers are ineffective.
Yeah, but we get caught up with this fast bowling thing in the Caribbean, Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
And our fast bowlers are not the fast bowlers of the 70s and 80s. Yeah. Jaden Seals is pretty good. Shamar Joseph has not bowled, as far as I'm concerned, since that Australia inaugural tour for him.
Mm-hmm.
He has not shown that kind of venom.
The consistency is not there.
Exactly. I think he was hurt for a little while, but the games that he has played, he has not shown that what he showed in Australia. And then you also have what's his name? Joseph, Azari Joseph. Azari Joseph, to me, is not showing improvement now as the senior fast bowler in the West Indies team. As a matter of fact, I am not even sure why they keep selecting him to play the white ball game when I don't think he's adapting to the white ball game. But I guess they know what they're doing.
Well,
the selectors.
I think if they keep on winning the white ball games and he's on the side, then they are not pushed to make the change.
Trevor, England just sweep them in.
I know. You see? So
you're not winning.
so you're not winning. And when you're not winning, the captain has a lot of leeway to make changes.
Well, hopefully, we'll see what happens now because the team has moved on to Ireland for that T20 series. So we'll see what happens with that series.
Okay, yes.
But, one of the things I found interesting in naming this team too, Trevor, and I'll mention it, that the only batsman to score over 600 runs in our recent regional 4-day game, not selected, in Jace Mohammed out of Trinidad. I guess they figure I don't know what the selectors were figuring, but to be quite frank, I would not have named them either in my squad. Yeah. Anyway, the first test, June 25th, at Kensington Oval. The second test, July 3rd to the 7th, at the National Stadium in Grenada, while the third and final test against Australia, July 12th through the 16th at Sabina Park, scheduled to be a day-night game. Pink ball.
Did they fix the lights, John?
The word is that the lights will be ready.
Okay.
I'm not sure what stage it is now, but I think I heard that at one point that the lights were on the wharf to be cleared. So I guess the light. But the last I heard from our Jamaica Cricket Association president is that the lights will not be a problem. They will be up and ready to go.
Okay, that is good news.
Cricket West Indies also named a 15-member women's squad for the white ball home series against South Africa women to be played at the 3W Oval in Barbados, June 11th through the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
There will be 3 one-day internationals and 3 2020s. The team is Haley Matthews, captain, Shemaine Campbell, vice captain, Alia Aline, Jazara Claxton, Afi Fletcher, Shabika Gashnabi, Janila Glasgow, Rialana Grimond, Chanel Henry, Zeta James, Kiana Joseph, Mandy Mangru, Ashmini Munisar, Karishma Ramharak, Stefani Taylor. And the head coach, of course, is Shane Dietz. Okay. Still no Deandra Datting, who continues to recover from injury sustained in the Women's Premier League in March. Mm-hmm. Also, we see the return of all-rounder Chanel Henry to the squad in place of Sherian Fraser. Following the ladies' wipeout in their recent England tour, Trevor, if West Indies women lose this series badly to South Africa women, I think it's time to send Shane Dietz back to Australia and find a new West Indies women's coach. Now, the first one day is scheduled for June 11th, Game 2 on June 14th, Game 3 June 17th. The first 2020, June 20th, Game 2, June 22nd, and the third one day, 2020 rather, June 23rd. Cricket West Indies and West Indies Players Association to celebrate the 50th anniversary of West Indies winning the first World Cup trophy under the captaincy of Sir Clive Lloyd in 1975. Celebration to take place Sunday, June 22nd at the Wyndham Grand in Barbados. And looking back on that 1975 final, West Indies won by 17 runs. Back then, of course, the one-day cricket was over 60 overs, not 50 overs as it is today. West Indies scored 291 for 8 from the 60 overs. Clive Lloyd, a magnificent 102 as captain leading from the front. Rohan Kanai got 55 and shared in a big partnership with his captain. Keith Boyce, 34, Gary Gilmore, 5 for 48 from 12 overs. Jeff Thompson, 2 for 44 from his 12 overs. Australia, 274 in 58.4 overs. Ian Chappell got 62. Alan Border, 40, Doug Walters, 35. Keith Boyce had a great game, 4 for 50 from 12 overs. West Indies executed 5 runouts in the Aussie innings. And Sir Viv Richards was involved in 3 of them. The West Indies 11 for that championship win was Clive Lloyd captain, Roy Fredericks, Gordon Greenwich, Alvin Kalicharan, Rohan Kanai, Sir Viv Richards, Keith Boyce, Bernard Julian, Derek Murray, Van Burn Holder, and Andy Roberts.
Mhm.
Also, current players are up for major awards at that function. The nominees are as follows. Test Player of the Year, Craig Brathwaite, KBM Hodge, Shamar Joseph, Azar Joseph, and Jaden Seals.
Mhm.
Men's One-Day Player of the Year, Casey Carty, Shea Hope, Azari Joseph, Gudakesh Moti, Sherfain Rutherford. Men's 2020 Player of the Year, Akil Hussein, Azari Joseph, Brandon King, Nicholas Poran, and Robman Powell.
Mhm.
The Women's T20 Player of the Year, Shemaine Campbell, Afi Fletcher, Chanel Henry, Haley Matthews, and Karishma Ramharak. Women's One-Day Player of the Year nominees, Afi Fletcher, Chanel Henry, Zayda James, Haley Matthews, and Stephanie Taylor. West Indies Championship Player of the Year nominees, Joshua Bishop, Craig Brathwaite, Mikhail Louis, Kevin Sinclair, and Jomel Warrican.
Mhm.
Regional T20 Player of the Year, Johnson Charles, Andre Fletcher, Shimron Hetmeyer, Gudakesh Moti, and Nicholas Poran.
Mhm.
The CG Super 50 Cup Player of the Year nominees, Lenika Boucher, Raheem Cornwall, Justin Greaves, Amir Jangu, and Marquino Minley.
Mhm.
CG United Women's Super 50 Cup Player of the Year, Shemaine Campbell, Keisha Knight, Naya Lachman, Ashmini Munisar, and Shedian Nation. And of course, the Cricket West Indies Women's T20 Blaze Player of the Year, Erin Dean, Shabika Ghaznabi, Mandy Mangru, Tafiana Millington, and Rashada Williams. What a day one of the World Test Championship at Lord's between Australia and South Africa.
Hey.
At stumps, Australia dismissed for 212. Bo Webster 72, Steve Smith 66, Kajiza Rabada 5 for 51. Marks the second time he has gotten his name on the Lord's honor board.
Ah.
Marco Jansen 3 for 49.
Mhm.
Australia may have found themselves in dire straits, Trevor,
Mhm.
had South Africa reviewed an LBW not-out decision on Bo Webster, who was on 4 at the time.
So VAR was not working?
No, they didn't. They decided not to review,
Wow.
and these things happen. You're not sure, and you don't want to waste the review.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Also, an interesting decision by the Aussies, asking Marnus Labuschagne to open the innings. South Africa, 43 for 4 at stumps. Ryan Rickel top scored so far with 16. Mitchell Stark, 2 for 10. Josh Hazelwood rather. Pat Cummins, 1 wicket apiece.
Mm.
Meanwhile, the losing continues by West Indies men in England.
Oh boy.
Another whitewash today as West Indies men lost the third and final T20 to England by 37 runs.
Okay.
England 248 for 3 from 20 overs, Ben Duckett 84, Jamie Smith 60, and they shared in a 120-run partnership for the Brits. Harry Brook 35 not out, Jacob Bethel 36 not out, Akil Hussein, Gudakesh Moti, and Sherfain Rutherford picked up 1 wicket apiece.
Mm.
West Indies 211 for 8 from their 20 overs. Robman Powell 79 not out. Shea Hope 45. Luke Wood 3 for 31 from 4 overs. Abdul Rashid 2 for 30 from 4. West Indies now, as I said, move on to Ireland for the Irish leg of the 2020 tour. And as I mentioned, Robman Powell, he had a pretty good series. He took some outstanding catches there, Trevor.
Yes.
One of them in particular, when he dove, and I thought he had hurt his left shoulder when he came down with the ball, but he seemed to be all right. Well, he scored 79 runs today, so not out.
Yes, he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right. Kensington Cricket Club are the Jamaica Michael Holding Senior Cup champions after gaining first innings over St. Catherine Cricket Club. And you know, of course, that's a good friend of ours, my fellow Hall of Famer who recently put out a book. That's his club, Saints, Mr. Len Chambers.
Okay.
I need to call Len to console. But St. Catherine scored 203, Trevon Williams 60, Carlos Brown 40, Anthony Dacus 3 for 43, Tamarai Redwood 2 for 22, Jamie Hay 2 for 37, and Ryan Francis 2 for 45. Kensington 339 for 8 on day 2 when the game was called. Alex Hines 70 not out, David Dewar 69, Nicholas Gordon 44 not out, Jevo Royal 2 for 53, Vital Laws 2 for 77. The player of the match went to David Dewar. Okay, folks, I tell you what, let's go to another break now. And when we come back, we will jump into the fields of green in football. We have a lot of football news for you. So we'll be right back. And we are back once again. Welcome to John Sports Corner here on the SosoBone Media Network. Football news. Chris Williams has announced his retirement as chairman of the Professional Football Jamaica Limited effective August 31st. Mr. Williams is being credited for the revitalization of the Jamaica Premier League, making it a more attractive league. He says he is not stepping out, but stepping back. He also says he has asked the clubs to appoint him global ambassador with the responsibility to grow global revenue.
Okay.
Chris spent 5 years as chairman of the Professional Football Jamaica Limited. And Lenny Teacher Hyde, one of the most successful schoolboy coaches in Jamaica, has resigned as Clarendon College schoolboy football coach, and he's headed to Dent Hill Technical High School. He has been involved in 6 of the 11 the Costa Cup titles Clarendon College have won. He has also won 4 Oliver Shields with the school. Dent Hill have won 2 the Costa Cup titles so far. The last win coming in 1981. So I guess Lenny is going there, hopefully to try to turn around that program.
Show me the money.
And we move on to CONCACAF qualifiers. Jamaica squeezed a 1-goal-to-zip win over British Virgin Islands. A 17th minute goal by Warner Brown, the difference in the game. Then yesterday at the National Stadium, hit the back of the net 3 times to dismiss Guatemala 3-goals-to-zip.
Wow.
Warner Brown has carried his shooting boots from the Jamaica Premier League into the qualifiers. He scored twice yesterday to make it 3 goals in his 2 games.
All right, all right, all right.
And let me say this, Trevor. I am happy to see Warner Brown carry his scoring prowess into the qualifiers and score at the higher level. And for the defensive work of Richard King, it has always been my position, and you know that, Trevor, that there is football talent in Jamaica. The federation just have to give our players opportunity and exposure at the highest level.
Yes.
I believe we have talent. I believe, and I've said it before, that a lot of our players are better than the second and third division players that are being selected to play for Jamaica. I also believe that Jamaica born will fight harder for Jamaica than bringing some guy in from abroad.
Tourist. Mercenary, John, mercenary.
In other qualifiers, Grenada 3-2 over St. Kitts and Nevis, Bermuda 2-1 over Cuba, Curacao 5-1 over Haiti. That's a surprise.
That is
St.
a
Lucia.
surprise.
Huh?
That is a surprise.
It is a surprise.
Yes.
St. Lucia 2-1 over Barbados, Dominica Republic 5-0 over Dominica, Guyana 3-0 over Montserrat, Panama 3-0 over Nicaragua, Costa Rica 2-1 over Trinidad and Tobago, Puerto Rico 2-1 over St. Vincent and the Grenadines, El Salvador and Suriname in a 1-1 stalemate, while Honduras clipped Antigua and Barbuda by the Bob Marley score, 1 love.
1 love.
This marked the end of the second round of the qualifiers, and Bermuda, Costa Rica, Honduras, and Trinidad and Tobago all advanced to the final round of the CONCACAF qualifiers. And Trinidad and Tobago, of course, advanced despite their loss yesterday. The Jamaica Football Federation named a 26-man squad for the upcoming CONCACAF Gold Cup. In goal, Andre Blake, Shaquan Davis, Jamali Waite. In defense, Dexter Lembikisa, Amari Bell, Mason Holgate, Ethan Pinnock, Richard King, Joel Latibadir, Damian Lowe, and Gregory Leach. In midfield, it's Casey Palmer, Isaac Hayden, Jonathan Russell, Kyle Ming, and Dwayne Atkinson. While up front, it's Leon Bailey, Kaim Dixon, Roman Burrell, Damari Gray, Warner Brown, Reynaldo Cephas, Romario Williams, Tyrese Campbell, Bobby Reed, and Mikhail Antonio. That name keeps popping up, Trevor. I remember he was in that horrific auto accident in December.
Won't drive an expensive car anymore. Drive one that has seat belts.
Well, he said, not, I think I saw somewhere that he said he's not going to be driving those cars anymore.
But you know, John, I have to make an inquiry. We had a very good defensive player that was playing for the Red Bulls. What happened to him?
Who was that, Trevor? I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember, but I know that he always made it. I know he made the squad when they knocked out the USA years ago. And he was playing for the Red Bulls in New Jersey. And that's...
Well, maybe his time has passed, Trevor. Age.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Well, I'll have to double check and see who that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't remember.
It just slipped my mind.
I kind of remember, Trevor. And his name just doesn't come to mind right now. Yes, I know who you're talking about, But moving on, Trevor. Jamaica Premier League club Montego Bay United staging its inaugural invitational high school football competition for the top 6 high schools in Western Jamaica at the Catherine Hall Stadium on August 16th. The club will be putting up $1 million cash prize. The competition will be made up of 40-minute matches with 6 teams broken down into 2 groups of 3. The group winners play the final, while second place finisher in the group play for second place. To add more spice to the mix, Trevor, Montego Bay United Youth Academy will have a match against another opponent ahead of the final. And updating the CONCACAF Women's Under-20 Championship, Canada 3-2 over Mexico in Sunday's final. Canada got past the US 1-0 in the semifinal, while Mexico overwhelmed Costa Rica 4-0 in the other semifinal. Caribbean Club Shield champions Arnett Gardens to begin preparation to defend their title. The draw took place yesterday, and Arnett Gardens is drawn in Group D with Club Franciscan of Martinique, Scholars International of Cayman Islands, Dublin Football Club of Dominica, AC Port of Spain with Trinidad and Tobago, and Ducks United from Anguilla. The tournament scheduled for July 26th to August 3rd in Trinidad and Tobago. The top 2 teams in the Shield advance to the Caribbean Cup. Arnett defeated Grenadines of Antigua 1-0 in last year's final for their first hold on the second-tier regional title. UEFA Nations League final between Portugal and Spain was decided on penalty shootout, Trevor, after the game ended 2-2 in regulation and extra time. Portugal took home the championship 5-3 penalty shootout. And you know, Trevor, of course, you know, it was the game played on Sunday. And Sunday, of course, 2-4. I am on the Winner Circle radio side, but I got home and was able to see the last few minutes of regular time, extra time, and the shootout.
Oh, you got lucky, John.
Yes. It was Ronaldo's 61st minute goal, Trevor, that locked the scores at 2 apiece. And it's his 138th international goal and 938 goals overall. Can you imagine, Trevor?
That's a lot of goals, John.
Ronaldo, there's no chicken no, Trevor.
No, and neither is Kemar Lawrence. Kemar Lawrence, John.
That's the name.
Yes. He has been
with Red Bulls.
He has been transferred. He's now going to play in Europe, John. Yes.
Thanks very much, Trevor.
Yes.
Anyway, no, Trevor, in that UEFA Nations League game, Spain's 17-year-old, should I call him Phenom? Lamine Yamal, he had a nightmare final. As Portugal's Nuno Mendes not only kept him in check, but also scored Portugal's first goal. And he was named man of the match.
Man of the match.
Yep. And in the third place game, France defeated Germany 2-0. Moving along, coming back this side of the world, South America World Cup qualifier results from yesterday. Uruguay 2-0 over Venezuela, Argentina and Colombia in a 1-1 stalemate. Brazil squeezed by Paraguay 1-0, and they are now through to the World Cup. Peru and Ecuador in a 0-0 stalemate. Uriah Rennie, the first black referee in the English Premiership, has died.
Oh,
He was 65.
65.
Born in Jamaica and moved to Sheffield as a child. He officiated in over 300 top-flight matches between 1997 and 2008, including 175 Premier League matches. Certainly, Trevor, from John Sports Corner, condolences to the Rennie family.
Yes, yes, yes.
Moving back to Jamaica and Jamaica Women's Premier League. Fraser's Whip continue to run away with this Premier League, Women's Premier League, Trevor. They defeated Springers United 14 goals to zip.
14, John. No,
14.
no mercy rule.
1-4. Not in football. Cavalier defeated Proven Girls 11 goals to 1. Los Perfectos 3-1 over Real Mobe, Honored Gardens 3-1 over UWI, and Wi-Fi 2-1 over Federal United. And some interesting international friendly games. Let me mention them, Trevor. Senegal defeated England 3 goals to 1.
What?
Switzerland defeated the US 4 goals to zip.
The US? Oh my goodness.
The great USA. Canada and Ivory Coast in a 0-0 stalemate, while Mexico 1 goal to zip over Turkey.
Okay.
Before we go to another break, let me just mention something here, Trevor. You know, the current administration here in the US have a list of countries that they have banned from people coming to the US. The big question that is being bandied around now, what is going to happen with teams from those countries who qualify for the World Cup? Will they be allowed to enter the US?
You know,
and I think they will. The teams, but not their supporters. Because at this stage of the game, I don't think FIFA could change where the games are being played. I think the US is getting like 70-something of the World Cup games. So to move, of course, you know, they could move some of them to Jamaica.
Yes, but
that is the big question being debated now.
I think Mexico is going to see more games on their plan than Canada, John. Because they already, listen, we had a world problem with tariff, okay? I know we have a world problem with sports. We saw how they responded, John, with the tariff.
Yeah, but Trevor, I don't think the schedule is going to change.
Well,
I don't think it's going to change. This is FIFA you're talking about it.
Yes, but the countries, John.
Yeah, but the schedule not going to change, Trevor. And I don't think the US government would stop the teams. They might prevent the supporters from coming, but not the teams. But as I said, Trevor, let's go to another break. And you know, while during the break, of course, if you have your cup, your Winner's Circle Sports Radio cup, you can have a sip of coffee while we go to a break. So we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. And once again, welcome to John Sports Corner here on the SosoBone Media Network. And we are going to start now with netball and the Suncorp Super League in Australia. 7 wins on a trot for Janelle Fowler Nemhard, since her return to action with West Coast Fever. Saturday night, the West Coast Fever defeated the New South Wales Swifts 79-68 at the Ken Rosewall Arena. Remember Ken Rosewall, Trevor, used to play tennis for Australia?
Mm-hmm.
The Jamaica Sunshine Girl captain with a near flawless shooting night, completing 71 of her 72 shots on goal.
But John, 72 shots on goal is way above average, John. I mean,
Well,
normally we're talking about 50, 51 out of 53, 51 out of 50. I mean,
well, she shoots 60, 70 regularly, Trevor.
that means their defense is very good.
She's the main cog in that team,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And she has won the shooting title, I think, like 4 or 5 years, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But she's the danger person there up front for them.
Okay.
And in other games, the Melbourne Vixens 67-57 over Shimona Jock of the Melbourne Mavericks. Of course, Shimona Jock is also a Sunshine Girl, and she completed 30 of 31 attempts on goal. Giants netball 66-63 over the Sunshine Girls, Romelda Aiken-George and Natanya Wilson's Adelaide Thunderbirds. Romelda Aiken-George completed 49 of her 55 attempts on goal. And we move to boxing as Ukraine boxing grade Vasily Lomachenko has announced his retirement from boxing at age 37. He claimed Olympic gold in 2008 and 2012 before turning pro. As an amateur, he lost just one of 396 fights. He has only 21 fights as a pro, winning 18, 12 inside the distance. But it was Vasily Lomachenko who bruised Jamaica's Nicholas Axman Walters' ego in a brutal 7 rounds in 2016. And following that fight, Walters didn't fight again for a little while. In fact, almost more than 6 years, Trevor, before he stepped into the ring again. Baseball news, let me touch something I know very little about, Trevor. Baseball.
Okay.
My favorite team, the New York Yankees, of course. Aaron Judge is having an outstanding season thus far. And listening to the Yankee broadcasters, Trevor, they all have him in Cooperstown.
Aye.
Will Aaron Judge have to add a World Series ring to his name to truly cement himself in the Hall of Fame?
That's right. That's right. And the Yankees have been, coming up empty for quite a few years, John.
Since 2019? No, 2009.
2009.
Beg your pardon, 2009, I think it was. That was the last championship. Well, they got to the World Series last year, but they lost badly. And they seem to have a problem with National League teams this year. But we shall see if they get that far again to the World Series. We shall see.
We shall see.
The NBA championship between Indiana Pacers and OKC Thunder locked at 1 apiece after 2 games, going into tonight's Game 3 in Indiana. Indiana stole that first game.
Yes, John.
At OKC.
I mean, that was grand theft, John.
Yes, grand larceny.
Grand larceny. Okay. And
1 point.
And from my point of view, that's the only game they're going to win, because the OKC collapsed down the stretch in the first game. They were leading by about 15 points, in in the fourth quarter, and they collapsed down the stretch, and they were
What?
and they were
Uh,
and they were
Yeah,
still leading with less than 3 seconds to go, John. When a miracle,
AKA Knicks, Indiana.
yeah, when a miracle shot, okay, by by Halliburton,
Hmm.
traveling
Well,
more than
I'll,
half the
I'll
court.
admit something, Trevor.
Uh-huh.
At halftime,
Mhm.
OKC leading by 12 points. I said to myself, this is done. So I switched my TV to something else.
Okay, that's
I think I switched to the Yankees game.
yes,
And when somebody text me and said, okay, Indiana won. I
yes.
said, what? Yeah, but a big win. And that Indiana team has a never say die attitude doing it, Trevor.
Well, that
And
is,
they might extend that series beyond 5.
they have a deep playoff experience, deeper than OKC. Okay, OKC, over the last, I think they only made the playoffs for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana had one of the strongest scoring teams about 3 years ago. They led the league. They led the league in scoring.
Mm-hmm.
They have not turned over too many of their people. Okay, the weakness where the team is concerned, strange as it may sound, is their point guard who won the game, Halliburton,
Mm.
because traditionally he starts the game he starts each game very slow, John.
Mm.
In the first quarter, sometimes he's pretty much non-existent where scoring is concerned.
Mm.
But in the fourth quarter, he normally knocks down some big shots for them.
Yeah,
And one of the things he has said is that he needs to pick up his game in the first.
early.
Yes.
Mm.
That is when they fall behind because he starts the game very slow, but he normally ends it on a very strong note.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the king of sports, horse racing.
Oh, yes.
And the 157th Belmont Stakes close the 2025 Triple Crown races on a Saturday.
Mm.
This year, it was run over 1.25 miles at Saratoga Racetrack in Saratoga Springs, New York,
Mhm.
instead of 1.5 miles because of ongoing renovations at Belmont Park.
Mhm.
The Belmont, the final leg of the Triple Crown races, is considered to be a test of champions.
Mhm.
However, in some years, the race was not run over 1.5 miles. Like
Mhm.
Saturday at Saratoga, the smaller track could not accommodate the extra quarter mile.
Mhm.
The years 1890, 1891, 1892, 95, 1904, 1905, 2024, and 25, the races were non-mile and a half
Mhm.
races,
Mhm.
except for Sir Barton, the first Triple Crown winner in 1919. All the other Triple Crown winners raced over 1.5 miles in the Belmont. And by the way, there are only 13 Triple Crown winners, the last being Justified in 2018.
Mhm.
And Eddie Arcaro is the only jockey to win 2 Triple Crowns. In 1941, aboard Whirlaway,
Mhm.
1948 on Citation.
Mhm.
On Saturday, like the Kentucky Derby, sovereignty and journalism locked horns down the stretch one more time.
Mhm.
And like the Derby, it was sovereignty on the wire with Baeza third.
Oh,
Ironically, the same order of finish as the Derby.
aye.
Sovereignty, of course, went off at 2-1. Journalism at 5-2.
Yeah, I was rooting for journalism, John.
Well, but before the Kentucky Derby, Trevor, Jockey Junior Alvarado had never won a Triple Crown race.
Mm.
Now he has two
Aye,
in his pocket,
two in his pocket.
the Derby and the Belmont.
Mm.
He lost, get this one, Trevor, he lost $62,000 of his Kentucky Derby winnings for using his whip on a horse
That was,
more than the allowable 6 times.
oh, I thought he was using it on a horse that he was not riding.
Mhm. The Of course, the 2027 Breeders' Cup will be at the rebuilt state-of-the-art Belmont Park,
Mm.
and the Breeders' Cup was last run at Belmont in 2005.
Mm.
But, it was really another great race Saturday, that Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
It was, I mean, when sovereignty and journalism, well, when they took the turn for home and sovereignty made his move, journalism was already in front of him.
Oh, and he running
But
down.
but as one of my favorite horse racing commentators used to say, and down the stretch they come.
Oh, yes.
I
Yes,
tell you, but it
yes.
was a great home straight. I mean, the both of us went away from the rest of the field down
From
the
the back.
stretch.
Mm.
But I think with inside the last furlong or so, you could see that the jockey and journalism said, "No, I'm not going to catch him."
No.
you know. But it was a great race, Trevor.
Yeah,
And we close today with a look back on cricket history. And this afternoon, we'll be talking about Pakistan's Shakleen Mushtaq, who became the second man to take 2 hat-tricks in one-day international cricket.
aye.
He was the fastest to 100 one-day international wickets.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably, his finest moment came in a test match in Chennai in 1998-99 when his 10-4 allowed Pakistan to sneak a nerve-tingling 12-run win against India.
Mm.
And that's where I draw stumps on John Sports Corner this Wednesday afternoon on the SosoBone Media Network. Thanks for joining us over the last several minutes, I should say. And of course, we span the globe. Just remember to go to Winner Circle Store in the SosoBone shop and shop till you drop. A lot of merchandise there, including the great Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee. And folks, here it is, the cup. You can pour your coffee in the Winner Circle Sports Radar Cup and enjoy. See you next week. Ciao.